Hey, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Okay, who here has shot with studio strobes before? Pretty good, about half of you. Okay, so I'm gonna go through some stuff. I'm gonna show you kind of fashion and beauty. I'll tell you a little bit about myself as we go through this. And then we're gonna go in and show you how the different things work, the different modifiers and stuff. Because it's really important to know what each modifier does to be able to create what you wanna do. Obviously, I'm sponsored by Bowen's Lighting. And I always tell people, if you're gonna buy a lighting kit, buy one that you can grow with. Because there's a lot of really inexpensive kits out there, and you buy into it, and then when you grow and you're ready to move on, then you have to replace everything. And it's the modifiers are the parts that are expensive. You know, you get a couple of heads, that's not that expensive, but all the modifiers and having to replace them. So whatever you buy a kit that will grow with you. And that's why I love Bowen's, because it has a really good entry-level kit, and then they go all the way up to their Creo packs, which for me are amazing for, you know, on the pro end of things. So I'm able to use everything in their system, and when I teach, people are able to afford a system too. So whatever you do, just make sure you buy a system that you can grow with. Okay, so talk about old fat head here. I've been doing this for, it's actually 26 years now. I saw on my LinkedIn page it changed over to 26 years. I started out in Portland, Oregon, and people always want to know why I got into fashion photography, and I was in school for design. A fashion photographer showed his portfolio to me, and I'd always been taking pictures, and I'm like, I can make money. Sorry. Oh, I got to stay in a spot. Oh no. But anyway, fashion photographer showed his book, and I'm like, I can make money shooting beautiful women. That's what I want to do with my life. So that's literally, there's no cool thing about it. That's why I did it originally. But it was like a duck to water. So I started out in Portland doing a lot of model portfolios, and then started doing advertising work, and then I decided I had to move. So went to Europe. Came back, moved to Miami, came back, then I moved to London for a while, and then came back to New York. And I was in New York for 10 years, and then after 9/11, decided to move back to my hometown in Portland. And in Portland, those of you who don't know Portland, there's no fashion in Portland. So I had to kind of make a transition there for a while, and I opened a portrait wedding studio, but using the fashion end of things. Built that up, got tired of that, and then I decided I wanted to shoot sportswear. So I shut the studio down for 2 years, and just specifically geared towards Nike, using my fashion skills, and I landed Nike now, so it's like life is good. So all this stuff I'm going to teach you, you can use in any type of your photography you want to do, whether it's portraits, weddings, whatever. All this stuff will translate. Okay, I talk about organic lighting a lot because there's a lot of lighting seminars, and they'll go, you need to do this, this, and this. And for me, I'd never shot like that. I tend to look at the person, set up my light, and just kind of go with how they are, instead of just saying, I need to do a 1:4 lighting ratio. What is a 1:4 lighting ratio? I know what it is, but it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, if it looks good, it looks good. So I tend to be really organic, and that actually comes back from figured this out here recently, it comes from my childhood. My dad used to work on cars, and my 2 older brothers would get to work on them, and I'd have to hold the light. And I would get in trouble because I'd be watching the light move around in their faces and stuff. And I just realized this just like this last year. And I like hard lighting, and it's because I had a floodlight. And it's kind of funny. It takes back my childhood. So thanks, Dad, for not letting me work. I can't work on a car, but I can light. Okay, you're going to hear Craig later today if you're going to stay. Everybody has an opinion. I always say mine's right, but it's not. But just take something from everybody. I mean, there's going to be stuff I'm going to tell you that I would never do that. But just every time you see somebody, you can take a little bit of something from someone. I've seen people that teach how to shoot babies. I don't shoot babies, but I learned stuff from everybody. So just take everything with a grain of salt, learn what you can from each person, and then build your stuff from there. Okay. Lens choice when I'm shooting. I always shoot 50 or above in the studio. A lot of times an 85. I'm gonna probably shoot with a 50 here today. So a longer lens will compress, but in the studio sometimes you're not far enough away to use a really long lens. So I used to always shoot with an 85, and then I realized that I always bought a 50 whenever I bought a new kit. So I spent 50 days shooting with a 50, and that trained me to use it, and now it's my favorite lens. But for years, 20 years, I had a 50 and I never used it. So sometimes force yourself into using a lens you wouldn't use, and you might find something really cool. So now I tend to use the 50 a lot. White balance. To simplify things, a lot of times I'll just use my standard setting, sunny setting, daylight setting. Obviously you can set your Kelvin and all that. If I'm shooting a commercial job, I always use color card, but I tend to tweak my stuff in post anyway. So you never want to use auto when using studio strobes, because what happens is if you're on auto, it's going to take a white balance reading of the ambient, and then when you fire the strobe, it's going to be off. So make sure and take your white balance off of auto, and just pick like the daylight setting today if if you guys are going to shoot. I don't know if we're going to get time for that. So, okay, angle of light is really, really important. It's the most important thing with lighting, and I'm going to show you that with Sophia here later today. It's little tiny angles make huge differences. Just by having somebody lower their chin or raise their chin, you can save yourself a lot of retouching. And I guess it's because I started out on film, shooting film, we didn't have those options. So I actually had to learn how to light it right from the get-go instead of just saying fix it later. And obviously now with Photoshop, you can do a lot of extra stuff, but get it right in the camera and you can do, just create amazing imagery if you get it right the first time. So, but it's little tiny angles make huge differences. I tend to flat light everything. And what I mean by that is I bring the light source flat to the facial plane, okay? So a lot of photographers will like cross light and stuff, and it depends, once again, it's organic. So if the girl has amazing skin, you can do that. But there's a couple women here. How many women like to see texture on your face in a photograph? No, you don't. So if you flat light, you're gonna minimize the texture on the face because there's gonna be no shadows. So, and I know a lot of portrait photographers, when I'm speaking, they'll say, no, I cross light or whatever, but in reality, what they'll do is they'll set up the person 3/4, but then they bring their face around flat to the light source. So they're actually flat lighting. So just for me, because I shoot a lot of beauty, it's like keeping the facial plane and your light parallel works really, really well. Okay, here's another example of flat light. Even though the light's coming from the left side of the photograph, by turning her face to it, I flat lit her. Okay, once again, angles. Situations like this, like if I brought her chin down just a little bit, you're gonna get circles under her eyes. And I'm gonna show you that later. You get circles under her eyes, but just little tiny angles make a big difference. And just every time when I'm out walking around, like in the city or whatever, I'm always watching light. Like I'll see somebody and be like, oh my God, and they kind of get freaked out sometimes, so I'll be looking at them like, going, where's that light coming from? And they're like, why is this guy looking at me, But it's like, and if you watch, then you can figure out, okay, that's like bouncing off like a building or something, that's a hard light. And then you can recreate it in the studio. So, just as you're walking around in life, just watch people's faces and stuff. And like I said, they might think you're creepy, but if your wife or something is with you, it's not so bad. So, worry more about angles of shooting too. A lot of times just by changing your angle that you shoot at, most fashion is shot below eye level. It's very rarely you're shooting down at somebody. And it can be as simple as, instead of shooting at eye level, you just go like this. It'll change the whole look of your photograph. So your shooting angle is really, really important. If you shoot down at somebody, it makes them look more demure, okay? So if you want a woman to seem really feminine, shoot down at them a little bit. If you have a guy that you want to, you don't like and you want to make him look feminine, shoot down at him. If you look at most portraits of men, they're shot up at them because it makes them look strong. And look at the difference here. Shooting down at her, look how demure she looks. Now look at this shot. It's a very slight angle difference, but shooting up at her, now she looks more powerful. And that's a big thing in fashion. It's like, it's like you want to convey power or no power, kind of. And it's kind of funny because I think back when I started, because I was younger and I was at that dating age, and women were kind of objects, I guess, so I shot down at them, and as I've gotten older, now I put them on a pedestal, so I'm shooting up a lot. So just be very aware of that. I mean, most people will just pick up the camera, they'll shoot eye level, just go like that, and just see what the difference is. Just little tiny angles make a huge difference. Okay, shadow edge transfer. This is literally the most technical thing I'll talk about, and because I don't believe in a lot of the technical stuff, because it's like, I know it, I understand it, you kind of need to know some of the technical stuff, but in reality is, if you can get the stuff to look like what you want it to look like, you're going to be way better off than knowing numbers. But shadow edge transfer is how fast the fall off is from highlight to shadow. And a lot of that has to do with how close your light is to the person, okay? So, Now, this I always get in like arguments with portrait photographers about this and different people. If you move your light closer to your subject, it's supposed to be softer. Technically, it's softer, okay, because the light is now bigger, so it's softer. But the reality is what it does, you gain contrast. So it looks like it's a harder light. So your highlight to shadow will fall off faster when the light is closer. When you move it back, it's supposed to be a harder light source technically, but the reality is it looks softer because the shadow edge transfer is longer from highlight to shadow. Okay, so I've just got a couple shots of these boxes here I set up. Okay, and I just use a Fresnel because it's a hard light source. Okay, so if you look at this, okay, this is close. So just watch the shadow behind the box. See the difference there just by moving it back? And I literally moved it back about 8 feet. You can see the contrast level difference. Okay, then I'm going to show you that when we're shooting. So just be aware of that. I'm going to show, I'll show you that, but it's like, if you, like let's say you're shooting with a softbox and you set it up and it's kind of mushy, everything's kind of mushy, you know, the edges don't look good, move that softbox closer. Even though it's going to be a softer light source, the shadow edge transfer is going to be faster from highlight to shadow and you're going to gain contrast. You know, most of the time I see people, their lights are way too far back. Get your lights closer. Like when I'm shooting with a beauty dish, which I'll show you that, it's literally like right outside the frame most of the time because it's kind of a soft light source, and if you have it back too far, it just doesn't have the contrast that you need. So, okay, let's go through light modifiers because there's so many different light modifiers, and knowing what they do will really help you out. I will go through these one by one here. Okay, standard max light reflector. The other one, sorry. Okay. This is a really hard source of light because obviously it's just the strobe in here, but this does a lot. I think Craig loves this. This is kind of his favorite thing. It's a really hard source of light, and if you look at the shadow edge transfer in the background and look at the highlight to shadow on her cheek, how it goes really fast from highlight to shadow. It's not long, it just goes, there's a direct line there. So hard light, you're gonna get a really fast edge transfer, okay? Then we don't have the Fresnel 200 spot. It's all your speed lights have a Fresnel element in the front of it. It's like a, yeah, it's just a piece of glass. And the Fresnel head, we were supposed to have it here, but it didn't come here. I use that a lot. It focuses the beam of light, and it's a really hard light source. And if you look at the edge transfer, like look at her cheek, it goes from highlight to shadow. There's like barely any gray in between, okay? Okay, beauty dish. That's this right here. This is a silver one, that was a white one. This is kind of like, I use this a lot. Beauty dishes are kind of my thing. And then you can use a grid spot on the front of it, and what that does, it focuses the beam, but the quality of light is still the same. So if you're ever in a situation where you like the quality of light, but there's too much of it, put a grid spot on whatever you're using. It's the same quality of light, it just makes the light a smaller area. So, put that down there. There we go. Okay, then we have the umbrella. That's a smaller one on that, but you all know what an umbrella is, right? This is a big one here. Are you gonna use this, Craig, today? Okay, I might not, we'll see. Umbrellas are kind of cool because I used them in the 90s and I got away from them and now I started using them again. I use a smaller umbrella sometimes, I'll use it like for a beauty dish when I'm traveling because you can get it, if you get it close enough, it kind of looks like a beauty dish because I don't normally travel with one of those big beauty dishes. It's just too much to take on the plane. But it tends to wrap around your subject, and if you look at the shadow, I mean, look at the shadow in the background, there's barely anything there. So the shadow edge transfer is really long on that. So if you want a soft light, like if you're shooting big groups of people, umbrellas are great. Okay, then softboxes. Everybody kind of knows what a softbox is. Those are small ones, strip lights. But it's a really slow edge transfer. Portraits, these are great for portraits. Just a really soft light source. It's kind of like window light. A softbox like window light. Okay, in the octobank, that's kind of like the lighting du jour now. It's just like a octagonal softbox, basically. It just changes the highlights in the eyes. It's a little bit different. The quality of light's a little different, but okay, so now, audience participation. Guess the light modifier. What do you think that was shot with? Anybody?
Strip box?
Nope. Nope. Beauty dish. Okay. Now it looks like a really hard light source. That's because I had the light really close to her. It was literally like she was here and the light was like right outside the frame. So I built.
Gridded?
No, there was no grid on that. So by taking a soft light source but moving it really close, I was able to make it look like a little bit harder, but I still had that soft quality of light. So, okay, what do you think that one is?
Softbox.
Nope, that was Fresnel. Yeah, it's one of the Fresnel lights. I love Fresnels. That's kind of like when I want to shoot like 40s glam type stuff, I either use that or just a hard reflector. This one, anybody? Octabank. You guys are getting close though. Softbox, Octabank, it's hard to tell. This one should be easy. Softbox, yeah, you can look at the catch light in her eye. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm like going, if you don't get this one. Okay, what do you think of this one?
Umbrella?
Hey, you got it, yeah. I use umbrella, like I said, when I travel. I actually had this client for about 12 years. They finally just moved on to another photographer. I was like, oh well, it's a good 12 years. But I used to just, because they didn't want a beauty dish, so I just take an umbrella with me. But once again, it's right outside the frame, okay?
How big is that?
How big is the umbrella?
Yeah, how big is that umbrella that you
Oh, the one I used was probably like that big. It wasn't very big.
Was it the silver or the shoe?
No, it was white over silver.
White over silver.
Yeah, yeah. I think Craig uses silver a lot. I tend to use white. Silver's just too specular. Okay, do you guys know how to use a meter at all? Studio meter, flash meter. Okay, we're gonna go through that. Basically, when you're shooting in the studio, you have your flash sync. Do you all know what flash sync is on your camera? We'll go through that too. So you set your flash sync. So once that's set, you don't need to worry about your shutter speed anymore. I mean the light. I tend to wander here. I feel like I'm tied in. So all you're going to be worried about are three things: power output, your ISO, and your f-stop. Okay, those are the three things. Because once your shutter speed is set, you're not going to mess with it. There's times you want to, but for the most part in the studio, you're going to just set it. So then we're going to worry about those three things to get a meter reading. So you set your ISO, set your power output on your flash, you pop the flash, and this will tell you what f-stop you're going to shoot at. Okay, so your camera meter will not work with studio strobes. You need a handheld meter or the back of your camera. So, which I don't even use these anymore. I just kind of guess and then get it right. But that's the way to do it. We went through that. I tend to use one light because, like I said, as a kid, I kind of learned to use with one light. And then I started thinking about logically too, going, okay, what's outside? You have one light, whether it's coming through clouds or not. So why make it more complicated? I've got a photographer friend that we literally could shoot the exact same shot. I'd use maybe 2 or 3 lights and he'd use 15. It's just the way you do it. They look exactly the same too. It's just the way, however your mind works. Some people like to use a lot of lights. I don't. What I tend to do is I set up my main light, and then once I get that, then I add lights as I need them. If I need to separate a person from the background, or I need something in the background or whatever, so then I'll add my lights to that. But for the most part, I use one light. Okay, here's an example. One light, and I use the sun as a kicker outside. So I'm lighting this with a Fresnel outside with strobe, and then the actual backlight is coming from the sun. So I just use the sun as another light source. Here's another Fresnel, one light. You don't need a lot of stuff to do beautiful things. So many people think you need all this extra stuff, but you really don't. Not good for you, but anyway. Okay, here's another example. It's like I shot this, and it was really beautiful against the black background, and then I just went, what if there's just like a little bit of light going in that bottom left corner? And I think it makes a difference. So I added another light there just for that. This is with a Fresnel also. Once again, this looks like a hard light source, but it's a beauty dish. It's literally right outside the frame. So one light again. I tend to use one light a lot. Here's another Fresnel shot, one light. I mean, how easy is this to do if you just get the angles right? And if you look at these, the angle of light on every one of these is what makes these shots. I shot down at her, makes her look a little more demure. But one light coming at the right angle, and literally, and I'm going to show you this. If her chin would have been down just like a half an inch, she would have big circles under her eyes. So, okay, the background of your image, especially shooting fashion, controls the whole feel of your shot, whether it's low key or high key. And most people don't take that into consideration. They'll just shoot something, it'll be like on a gross gray background, and then they'll wonder why their shot looks dingy, even though it's lit really well. It's because the background is controlling the feel of the shot. So I tend to, when I'm shooting white, I use a lot of light on the background and let the light bounce around. This was actually kind of a funny story. This girl, the only reason she got booked was because I wanted her on the shoot. The client didn't want her. And she came in and she was like in a really bad mood. And I was like, you know, she was being mean to me. And I'm like, the only reason you're here is because of me. Why are you being mean to me? So anyway, we had all these lights set up at full power on the background. And then I decided to shoot a different way. And I told my assistant to turn the light down because it was at full power. And I set the light up in front of her and he forgot to turn it down. And I popped the flash and there was so much power, it actually moved her hair. And I was like, well, karma will get you every time. So, but anyway, I tend to like light to bleed around so it makes it a little more airy. And then obviously low key, dark background. I use this a lot with sportswear stuff now because it's going more towards the fashion end of things. Okay, so I want to talk about my transition to shooting for Nike. It was kind of odd because, like I said, I'd been shooting fashion for all these years and then quit. And then when I first started doing testing just to try and see what I wanted to do, I was awful at it. And because I just didn't see sportswear at all. I mean, I was trying to emulate what everybody else did. I'd take them outside and have them running and stuff, and I'm just horrible at that. The shots are just hilarious. I actually have a show I do sometimes on photo failures of mine because they're hilariously bad. And after about like 6 to 7 months, I kind of went, wait a second, why don't I use my fashion skills? Because no one's really doing that in the sportswear industry. And then once I did that, things kind of took off. And if you look at this, it's fashion inspired. It's sportswear, but it looks nothing like sportswear. And this is actually what got Nike's attention because it was so out there that they had never seen anything like it. And obviously now that I'm shooting for them, I've had to pull back, but I had to get attention somehow instead of just showing what everybody else does. So that's kind of another tangent here to go off of. When you're shooting stuff for yourself, try and be yourself. So it was a mixture of fashion and sportswear that did it. But the story on this was, a lot of times women on Monday will go to the gym or whatever, and they won't want to go home and change into a whole nother outfit, so they'll just mix stuff in with their sportswear. And so that's what the whole thing was based off of, and Nike loved it. So that's what kind of opened the door for me. More of the same type of stuff, just using a softer light source, but using graphics of the garments and stuff. And then what ended up happening, started doing movement stuff with the Creo packs. Couldn't have done it without these. And then this is what I'm shooting now. So it's obviously not as wild as what it was, but I'm getting booked a lot because of my lighting now. And like I said, it's a little more fashion-y than what they used to do. And so now they're actually starting to create projects just for me because they know I have this fashion lighting skill. And it's like, Nike employs so many people, they hire so many people. And it's like just trying to stand out, using the skills that you have. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started here, set up, give a little bit, and let's do that. Why don't you stand up and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Sophia, and I've modeled with Craig before at a conference in Indiana, but what's happening?
Okay, and she hurt her foot here, so we were going to have her standing, but we're going to have her sitting down today. So let's move you out away from here. Let's put you on this one. Put you out here. Okay, so before we get started here, let me kind of go through the difference because there's two types of studio strobes. This is a monolight or monoblock, which is what we're going to be using today. Everything is built into these. You plug them into the wall, and everything's built in. And then the other system, like their Creo system, is a power pack system. So you have the power pack, and then you can plug a couple heads into it. Okay, there's a few differences. Monolights tend to not recycle as fast as power packs do. So if you want really, really fast recycling time, Isn't that right? Yeah. You want to use a power pack system. Another thing that I find with mono lights for me that are a little frustrating is like, once I get the light up where I want it, and I have the correct angle, and if it's up really high, and I want to change the power output, I have to either get up on a ladder or lower the light down and then change the power and then go back up. Where with a power pack, the head's up where it needs to be, and you can adjust everything from the power pack. So that's the one thing. Although now you have remotes though, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got remotes. So let's see, plug for this. This will be a funny video with all the grunting and groaning of me moving lights around. Okay, so on the heads, you have normally a couple dials here. One is full stops, and then these are tenths of stops here. You got a whole bunch of other things. You got ready, you got beep, you got cell. So if you want to fire multiple flashes, when one fires, the other one will. And then the rest of this is just speed, or yeah, we don't need to go through that. So anyway, so there's your full stops and your tenths of stops. So, and then we need a way to trigger them. Okay. I'm going to use Pocket Wizards, but there's a whole bunch of stuff out there. So what this is a radio slave. Like this. Hang that there. Okay, so now we're good to go. So, let me put this up. It's so quiet. Need music going or something. And let's turn the modeling light on. There we go. Okay, why don't you turn towards them? Because I want to show the angle of light here. Here, let's have you, let me stand right over here. Stand up for a second. Sit right there. Okay. Okay, just to show you the angle of light thing I was talking about. Okay. What I want you to do, if those are you in the back, you might not be able to see as well. Chin down a little bit. Watch the circles underneath her eyes here. Okay, chin up, a little more. Boom, they're gone. Chin down, they're there. That's why I'm talking about angle of light. It's little tiny things make a huge difference. And when I'm shooting beauty, it's always like I tell the model, don't move until I tell you to move, because it's like, it's just a little minuscule thing will make a huge difference. And it'll save you hours of retouching time too by doing that. Okay, chin up. Can you see that in the back? And chin down. Okay, chin up. Okay, now watch. When I say flat lighting, watch what happens to her face when we bring it across her face. You start to see shadows and stuff and texture, which if you're shooting a dude, that's awesome. You know, if you're shooting guys, we want to look like manly, so we want a lot of texture, but women don't, you don't want that, so I guess. Do you want that? Maybe you do. I don't know. So let's have you stand up again. I'll put you over here. Because I can make you look like 50. Just with light. Okay. So this is a hard, turn towards me now. This is going to be a hard source of light. And what you're going to notice, one of the things I'll talk about too is specular light. And if you look, you can turn a little bit, and you can see there's going to be a highlight here on her forehead. That's where makeup comes in handy a lot of times. You're going to notice a lot on a beauty dish. A beauty dish, you're going to get a forehead shine and probably a nose shine and chin shine. And that's when you want them to powder down, or you have to go in and fix that in post. It's just kind of a beauty dish thing. She's a little shiny here, but we'll work with it. Okay, so I'm going to set my ISO 100. Turn this on. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so I'm going to set my flash sync at 1/60th on this camera. So now all I'm worried about, I know my ISO, okay, I know my shutter speed. All I'm worried about is my f-stop and the power output of this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate the meter, pop the flash, and it's giving me 11.4. So that's 11, f11 and 4/10. So let's take this down. I don't want to shoot at f11. Suppose I can shoot at f11. Let's take this down. Let's try and shoot at f11. Okay. So now I'm at 809. Let me go up 1/10. And went down. Okay, I'm at 11:0. So now technically that's what I should shoot at. We'll see what happens when I tether. What's her name? You guys remember?
Sophia.
Yes.
That's like the first thing you need to learn is remember the model's name. Although if it doesn't work, you call them Sparky and they tend to respond. I use that a lot. Hey, so if I call you Sparky, I forgot your name. No, I wouldn't forget your name. Okay, here we go. Let's take a look. Right there. Chin up just a little bit. Right there. Okay, this is with a 50, so let's see what comes up here. Oh, that's Chris. That's my studio mate. That's my studio mate there. Okay, this got a weird setting on it. Let's get rid of some of these settings here. Okay. Let's see. I'll take the contrast down. Let's get a setting that. You want to see Chris? Okay, so pretty good here. What else is on here? Clarity's cranked up. Let's take this back to a base mode. Now we're getting a little closer to what should be. Okay. Go with that. Okay, so right now I'm shooting with a 50. It's dark, way darker on that than it is on my screen. So, well. And I think the 50 is kind of too short for her. Oops, as I unplug it. Ooh. Sure it's plugged in. Okay. So let's see if this comes up. Okay, so I'm going to switch to an 85 because I think it's too short. 85 is in here somewhere. Like if we were shooting full length of her, I'd stay with the 50, but I just think the 50 just looks too short. And the reason I say that is because if you look at her, her nose compared to the rest of her face, it's making it look bigger than it actually is. There we go. See, look at the difference. Let me delete these other two and you guys can see the difference. Get rid of the black frames. I was going low key on those. Look at the difference. A little hotter, but. And look at the angle, just it's like it looks so different with 85. So, but that's something that, you know, as you practice, you know, as you shoot a lot of people, you'll learn that stuff. I mean, I try to explain it as well as I can, but it's like, it's kind of just an inherent thing you have to learn when you look at somebody's face. Like when somebody comes in the studio, I kind of know what lens I'm going to use on them as soon as they walk in because I've shot so many people over 25 years. And I know when you're starting out, just don't be afraid to try different things, I guess, is what I'm saying. Like if you're shooting with a 85, go, I wonder what they look like with a 50. And then you can take a shot and just go, okay, no, let's move on. You know, never go, oh my God, that looks awful. Because that builds confidence, doesn't it? There, okay, chin up just a little bit. There. Okay. Okay, so now we have, it's kind of a nice shot. So let's try and change the contrast level. So we're going to try and stay at f11, but let's just change the contrast level and you guys will see. I'm going to try and keep the same angle. Higher here. So let's bump this up. Okay. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah? You're doing very well.
Thank you.
Okay, 805, so let me go up 5/10. 11.3, too far. Okay, so I'm at f11 again. Okay, so all we did is change the distance. Now you're going to see the difference in the quality of light. It's going to look a lot muddier, and the background's probably going to be lighter too because there's more spread. Get the same crop here. Right there. See the difference? You guys see that? Look at look at what it did to the background, and look underneath her chin. Go back and forth here. So we moved it back, so what's happened now is the light is not as small, so it's wider, so you're filling more of the background. But look at the light underneath her chin. It's softer. And that's what I'm saying. You can make a soft source of light hard and a hard light soft just by moving it in and out. And this is it's a really big thing when when you're trying to create something. It's like there's times when a client will say they want a softbox, and I'm like, I don't want to shoot with a softbox. I want more contrast, so I'll just bring that thing as close as possible. So this is a hard source of light. Let's go to something softer now. So let's do a beauty dish now. So this is silver beauty dish, and I love Bones beauty dishes, I got to tell you, because I've had a lot of different brands. I love this whole spring system. You guys are brilliant. Because normally they'll have like a connector that goes through here, and then you bend it or something. This thing will never bend. I love it. Okay. Whoa. Okay, so right off the bat, you can already see how it's changed. Quality of light has changed. Okay. Now, what I want you to notice too is that whatever angle I have this light at, I'm always bringing her face up to that light. So if I want to shoot, have her looking down, I'm going to have the light coming at the same angle as her face. So no matter where her face is, I'm going to make sure the light is parallel to it for the most part. Okay? So there we go. And now you're going to see in this shot that she's going to have a lot more highlight on her forehead right here. There's going to be a lot more shine. So let's try and stay at f11 again, just for consistency. 16:4. Okay. Okay. Too low. Meter reading is like watching paint dry. It really is. It's like turning on the microwave and waiting for your popcorn. I'm at 8:09. I should have somebody else come up and do the meter reading for me, just so you guys can learn how to do that. Okay. So this should be f11. So let's go here, right there. Beautiful. We do another session. Okay, so let's go back and forth there. See the difference? Watch the shadow underneath the chin. See the way it's softer, the edge is softer? Beauty dishes are amazing. But look at the highlight on her forehead now, because it's like a bigger source of light. So you're gonna have a highlight on the forehead. So, we're picking up, oh, that's what that is. We're picking up a reflection from the light in the background on the upper right-hand side. So, because we got glass behind there. Oh well, just changing my angle. Okay, right here. Beautiful. Let's do something. Bring your hands up around your head. Like, yeah, both hands. Yeah, both hands. Bring them forward a little bit, right there. Chin up just a little bit, and then turn your body a little more this way, and then bring your face back to me. A little more. Right there. Let's try that. Tilt your head just a little that way. Chin up just a hair, right there. Beautiful. Okay, let's see what that looks like. A little more interesting. Okay, breathe in and out through your mouth, just kind of. Beautiful. Can you be a little squintier with your eyes? Yeah. Beautiful. Bring your face around a little more to me, right there. Good. And a little happier now with your mouth, just kind of think, yeah, right there. Okay, and now, this I call this turtling. Push your chin away from your body, and then down just a little bit. Too far, too far. Chin up right there. Right there. How's that looking? Way better. So, okay, look at the difference in her chin, because that's like a really simple thing for you guys to do. Let's see. Most people tend to, when you set them up for a shot, they'll just kind of, their chin will fall back in. And it's if you just have them stretch their chin out a little bit, but then tell them to relax, it just makes a better neck. So, something new for you. Okay, so now, let's say we love what we have here. We like the light quality, but there's too much of it. So now we're lighting the background and everything. So let's use a grid spot on it. So what this is going to do is take that same quality of light and make it smaller. And there's no like graceful way to put these in. There we go. Hey, this one's not bent. Mine's bent. Been dropped a few times. So let's take another meter reading, just to make sure that nothing's changed. Who wants to do a meter reading? Anybody? Bueller? Nobody? Bueller? Bueller. See, nobody wants to do it. So we lost a full stop of light. He brought the gear. So I'm going to go at F8. Thank you. That's my ode to black again. Right there. Okay. Let's get rid of the black one here. Okay, so look at the difference. Just by adding the grid spot. Look what it did to the background. You guys understand why that happened now? Why the background went black? Because now we're not lighting the background. And look at how much different the shot looks. I mean, the light quality is exactly the same, but we just took the light off the background. This looks kind of blah. Now this is more dramatic. Okay, so now if I'm shooting this, then I would go, okay, let's say I like what I have here. Then I might go, well, I want a little bit of edge on her. So then I'd add another light behind her to, add a little separation between her and the background. But I always start out with my main light, like this. Just start out with it, and then you start adding from there. So like we got the light looking good with the beauty dish, so then what do? We put the grid spot on to make a smaller light source. And so now, let's try this. Get rid of some of the, get a little more diffused light, and let's just see what this does. What's the official term for this? Is it a sock?
Yeah, it's soft diffuser.
Huh?
Soft diffuser. Yeah.
I never know.
Diffuser.
Okay, so we need to take another meter reading. Nobody wants to do a meter reading? Bueller? Yeah. I think they're afraid of you, or they're afraid of me. You are kind of. We lost a lot of light there. A lot of light. I'm at 1.4. Let's crank this baby all the way up here. Okay. So at 5, 6, 8. Okay. Bring your hands up again. There. Good. So now, what do we have? We got the grid spot, but look what happened. Background's back up. So, but it definitely, if you look at the highlight on her, look at the difference on the highlight on her forehead, what it does. See, it softens it out. So if you're using a beauty dish, if you throw a sock on it, it's going to soften out that highlight, but it's going to be a softer source of light. So that's always the trade-off you got to make. I tend to not use socks. So. There we go. Now normally I'd have this on a boom too, so we'll see. Chin up. Turn your face this way. Even a little more. There. Beautiful. Let's try something with your, I don't know, your hands or something, doing something. Let's just go like, it's always funnier when I do it, isn't it? Yeah, that looks good. Are there any swooshes or anything we could use here? Just on the arm, right? Let's bring this down here. Right down there. Yeah, that's cool. And now hold that for about 15 minutes while I take a meter reading. See, if I wanted to change that, you would have been like, oh my God, my eyes. So it's a good thing you're nice. You're your hurt ankle. Okay, F11.8. So that's too much. Let's go down a few tenths here. Okay. Here's one of my pet peeves too. All those years of my career, I had to be tethered to a power pack with a cord, right, to fire it. They finally went wireless, so now I have to be tethered to a computer. So I still have a cord. I'm like, it's like, is this ever gonna end? Okay, hands up. And see, that's why I use a boom, because I always tend to set the light up where I want to be, so I'm wrapped around the light stand. Right there. Turn your face a little bit. Right there. Chin up just a hair. Beautiful. Look at that. That's beautiful. Right there. Right there. Squinty eyes a little bit. There. Look off over here. Right there. Okay, now what I want you to watch, what happens when I change my angle? Okay, so that's where we're at. Look off that way. Look at how different the shot looks just by changing my angle. So let's go back. I don't know if I like that angle better, but it does make it look stronger. But I mean, look at that. Just this, all I did is just, what was that, about 4 inches I was lower? So let's go back to these so that you can see the difference. Look at, by just moving it closer, look what that did. Let's get rid of this one here. Let's get something more similar. We'll go here. There. It just changes the whole contrast level and everything. So that's kind of how I'd shoot. I'd have it that close. Literally, it's like right outside my frame most of the time. Okay? Yeah? Okay. Okay, let's turn this one off. Okay. Let's go to the best piece of lighting diffusion that's ever been made. This thing is unbelievable. In fact, I know photographers that are sponsored by other companies that have retrofitted this to fit theirs. What's the full name of this? It's like really long. I call it the sunlight reflector.
Reflector is the sunlight reflector, and then the attachment on the front is the Super Soft 600 diffuser.
See, that's why I can never remember it. Super soft. You need something cooler, like
Yeah.
just the cool light. I don't know. But basically what this is, it's got kind of a beauty dish sort of thing in the back. It's got a baffle in it, and then this baffle goes in the front. The light that comes out of this is just absolutely stunning. I mean, once I got this from them, I kind of don't touch the beauty dish as much anymore. Huh? I do. I use this all the time. In fact, this is on the boom. I just don't even take it off because I know I'm going to use it. So, and what this is, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like a beauty dish that's softer, I guess. I don't really know how to explain it.
Like a softbox and a beauty dish.
Yeah.
In one, I suppose.
It looks a lot like daylight, actually, I think.
It's the main sunlight.
Yeah. Well, that's, no, but then it doesn't have the Super Soft 600 on it. Super Soft 600. Who came up with that? Was that you?
No, it goes back to the 70s.
Back to the 70s? Does kind of sound like the 70s. Okay. Turn the modeling light here. Uh-oh, what happened to our modeling light? We got no modeling light. There we go. Okay. That's pretty lighting. Look at that. Oof. Monster lighting. And this one I get real close. Let's kind of chin up a little bit. Let's move this beauty dish out of the way so it's not your back. How are we doing on time?
Go now.
Oh. Okay, turn your face a little this way. Right there. Okay, let's take your hair off of this side,
This side?
that side. Okay, and you need to fluff out your hair on the other side too. There, pretty. Let's try this one. Maybe bring your arm up. No, the other arm. Just want to get that swoosh in there. Chin up. Right there. What's her name? Yeah, good job. Okay. One of the things when you're directing a model, talk about that a little bit. You got to remember, if you say turn your head to the left, it's opposite for them. So, and then if you say turn your head camera left, they're like, what, camera, what's, huh, what? So I always use a visual for them. Like if I say I want you to tilt your head, I'll normally use the camera. I'll just go tilt this way, or that way. They need a visual to follow. Or if I don't do that, I'll create an L with my fingers and I'll go tilt your head that way. You need to give them a visual, and it's mainly just to speed up the shoot to make them feel comfortable. Because I'll say turn your head to the left, they turn the other way. I'm like your other left, and then they're like, oh. So anyway, just a little chin up, just a little bit, right there. And this is normally how I shoot wrapped around stuff, right there, right there. Let's get the swoosh in. Hold on. Okay, chin down just a hair, right there. Little under. Okay. Just gonna guess. Third of a stop, right there. How's that? Look here. Yeah, that's look at that one there. That's a little better. This is a little dark. So you can see the quality of light between the two. Let's get rid of that one. That's underexposed. Let's get rid of this one too. So it's just a softer light, but it's like it's got a little bit of edge to it. I don't know. I just think it's such a pretty light. Let's get a little more. I want to have you stand up, but I don't want you with your angle.
I can.
No, no, no.
Yes, I can.
Her ankle's about twice the size of her other one, but she's a trooper. No, I can stand up. I'd be at home crying in bed. Okay, turn your head a little more this way. There, good. Look off over here. Squint a little bit and breathe through your mouth. Just gonna, there, and a little happier. A little happier, there we go. Good, eyes back to me. There. Cool, this light's really pretty. So, what do you guys think? Do you guys like this light? What's your favorite light so far?
Oh, it's definitely lovely.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think this is really cool. Let's take this off now. And we're gonna switch up and we'll use these softboxes. So, and we're supposed to have a bigger softbox, but we're gonna make do with this little one, I think. Okay. Ugh. Okay. That's kind of pretty. A little strip light. Normally, when I shoot with a softbox, I shoot with a huge softbox, the biggest one I can. I think, what's the biggest one you guys make? It's big.
140, I think.
Yeah.
180.
And what I tend to do is I'll set it up and I'll shoot right in front of it. I mean, I'll set it up like right behind me and I'll just shoot right in front of it because I'm not going to block that much light. One of the things I used to do when I used to shoot a lot of covers is I would try and light it so that my reflection would be in their eyes. And then the magazine would come out and they didn't catch it. I'm like, there I am. Some art directors would catch it. They're like, hey, wait a second, you're in there. I'm like, ugh. But when we made it on the stand, I'm like, oh my God, there I am. I have a cover. Shh. Shh, don't say anything about that. Trade secret. No, you can do it. I said, no, you can try that. Okay. Oh, that's right. Thank you. Where did I put it? There it is. I would have figured it out eventually. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Let's shoot. Okay, so I'm at 807, okay? 80.7. So I want to go up 3/10, so I'm going to go to this side. 1, 2, 3. And now it should read F11 if everything is the way it should be. 11. Okay. Turn your face a little more that way. A little more. A little more. Chin down just a bit. Okay. See, okay, now look, if you look at this, okay, watch, see like what's going on right here? I noticed that when I was setting up the shot, but I shot it anyway because I wanted you guys to see the light's too low. That's what's causing that. I'm kind of monster lighting her a little bit. And then the angle is like not right either, so let's go ahead and change the angle up. Let's see if we can get rid of that. Turn your face just a little more. See if that looks better. Okay. Right there. Does that look better?
Yeah.
Go back and forth here. So, but it's literally just little angles. Now watch, if she just brings her chin up a little bit, chin up. Okay. I don't think I've ever shot with a softbox this small before, like this. See, now the angle's good. Okay, so, but if you're shooting portraits, probably use these a lot, or softbox a lot. I don't tend to use softboxes very much, unless it's like a catalog or something. They want something specific like that. But I use Octabanks if I shoot anything soft like this. But I shoot hard light most of the time. I don't know, Craig, what do you shoot? Do you shoot hard light?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. I know some photographers that never shoot hard light. And then on the front of these, you can put a honeycomb too, or not a honeycomb,
Soft grid.
yeah, the grid, which we'll do that. So now what I want to do is let's do some cross light. Let's have some fun here. Okay, so I'm going to shoot some stuff now like I do like a sports fashion thing. And basically all this does is it allows you to really place the light where you want it. There's not going to be any spill, because if you just use this like it is, you're going to have spill coming out the sides. So this is going to make it so that we can just literally put the light where we want to. But it's still going to be a soft source of light because it's a softbox. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Let's put the cell on this one. Okay, so now I'm going to turn the cell on this one because I don't have a radio slave on this. So now it's going to fire when that one fires. Okay, let's have you stand right in the middle. Come forward, like right there. Good. Okay, so let's flatten this up a little bit. Right there. Okay. Need to raise this one up. You want them even on both sides. This works really well if you're shooting any sort of bodybuilders. They love this light. Not so good on the face though. A little lower. Okay. So now metering this. Okay, what I'm going to look for here, I'm going to take a meter reading with this facing where I'm going to be shooting, because that's kind of what I want my base exposure. You can test side to side to make sure you've got the same amount, which we'll probably do here. What's the number say on that? 2.3. 2.3? Hey, it's 2.3 here too.
So you're shooting the same ratio?
Yeah, I want the same ratio, yeah. Let's just make sure. So 802 on that side, 803 on that side, so we're really close. So then I'm going to go here. I'm going to shoot at 80. And let's just see what we got going here. Okay. Let's say turn your body just a little more. No, that way. Yeah. Just mirror me. I get here. I'll go this way. Yeah. Which is your hurt ankle? Okay, good. Okay. Square your body up to me a little more. Pull down on the top. There. Okay, and just kind of put your hands here. Right there. A little more. And when you push your hands in, don't push hard, just kind of lightly. Yeah, there. Are your ankle okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Right there. Let's see what you got. Okay, let's change this to black and white. So I think that'll look really good in black and white. Oops. Yeah, that's looking kind of cool. And look, we made the background black. Now, why is the background black?
Because of the grids.
There's no light spilling in the background. So what can you learn from this? Okay, if you have white seamless, you can make it white, black, or gray. You don't need to have all those different types of seamless. You know, if you have enough space to do it, you can create whatever background you want out of it. Like in my studio, I don't have black. I'll have studio gray because sometimes I want to shoot studio and white. I don't have black. I just make black. Now, if we spill this a little bit, we can lighten it up a little. No, let's not do that. Let's have you look this way to the light. Take a step back that way. Yeah. Right there, and then turn towards that light right there. Okay. Right there. Look at that. Okay, so if we go to this one here, this one I would shoot if it was like some really ripped dude or like a really, really ripped woman, then she wanted to just show her body off. That's what I do. But for the most part, if I'm shooting some, I want some definition, but I want their faces to look good too. Because what you're doing when you bring it closer again, come closer again. Too far. Back up just a little bit right there. And you're just cross-lighting her face. Go ahead and turn that way now, towards that light, and see what that looks like. See, that's a little better, but then you still don't have enough fill on this side. So I prefer it if she's back just a little bit. Go back again. Not too far. Got to be in the light. Right there, right there. Beautiful. Good. Not too far with the eyes. Looks like straight off over here. Turn your body a little more to me. Right there. Okay. Okay, so there's split lighting. So now, let's take this. We got a third light, don't we? Okay, let's do that. Let's do this.
An umbrella?
Yeah, no, there's just that with no umbrella. Yeah. Actually, you just step forward a little bit. A little more. Okay, so now instead of starting with one light, I start with two lights. And let's say I just love what's going on here, okay? But I don't like what's going on in her face, right? Because her face looks kind of modeled. So let's just light her face now. And that's what I talk about with being organic. Just kind of, it's just problem solving. And if you think about, wait, I think let's do this one. I'm going to put the grid spot on. If you think about the different diffusers, here. A lot of people get freaked out with studio strobes, but if you think about studio strobes as sunlight, and you can put your sunlight wherever you want, and you can create whatever type of sunlight you want. So let's say it's a cloudy day. You want it to look like a cloudy day. You're going to use Softbox or Octabank, okay? If you want kind of a hazy sort of day, you're going to use a beauty dish. If you want direct sunlight, you're going to use hard light, you know? And that kind of takes the mystique out of using a studio strobe. Because I know it was scary for me too. When I first started, I'm like, oh my God, I got all these lights, what do I do? And then when I simplified it down to, I'm just taking my sun and putting my sun where I want, and if I want multiple suns, I can add multiple suns, because that's how I am in my studio. I'm a lighting god, I can do whatever. So, anyway. Cell's on. Don't know if it's gonna fire with the cell, but Might not. Let's just see. Did it fire?
Yes.
Okay.
I like these, the beeps.
Yeah.
Just,
It's just annoying.
oh.
Beep. So now what I want to do is I want to light just her face, if I can. That might be too big of a grid. Let's try it. Right there. Now what's going to happen with this? Are we going to get anything in the background, do you think? No? I'm not sure. Find out. So that's okay. Okay. So I'm at F8. Okay. One of the things I want to point out too, because I just did it, I tend to bump my shutter speed a lot when I'm shooting. So I never shoot at my flash sync. I always shoot one click under, because I've shot before and then all of a sudden you're like 3-4 shots come up and you got shutter sync problems. So if you're like me and you bump things, don't shoot at your exact shutter speed, sync speed. Okay, let's see what this looks like. Okay. So now we're getting the background as being lit by this, right? So what we're going to do here, I'm going to go down to F11. And I'm not getting like a really good edge on her now because I shot this at F11 and these are at F8. So let's take these up a stop. Why don't somebody click that up a stop? Full stop.
3.3.
And let's see what we get. Okay. There we go. Now we're getting more of an edge on her. See the difference? Okay. And now if we wanted to get rid of that background light, okay, there's a couple ways I could do it. I'm laying the background now on the left side. I can either try and flag it or move. See if that does it. Hey, look. Sometimes the simplest solution is just to move yourself. And I always tell people, it's like when you get your light set up, kind of walk around, and you might actually see something that is actually going to work kind of cool that you wouldn't have thought of. I always walk around my model when I set up the light. So look off that way. There. How you doing? You want to sit down?
No, I'm good.
You good? I acted like I cared there, didn't I? Just kidding. Beautiful. Turn your head off even more that way. Right there. Beautiful. That's actually really pretty. Look at that. Okay, so now let's kill these side ones and shoot with just the grid. Have we done that yet?
No.
No, I didn't think so. And let's do some really glam stuff here. Okay. Okay. Turn your face a little bit that way. A little more. A little more. Right there. Look off right over there at that red sign. Beautiful. Push your chin away from your body. There. We're a little under. So I can either, what are my two options here? Actually, three options. It's a little dark. I can either bump the power up. Or what else? My aperture. My aperture. So instead of going up with the light, I'm just going to adjust my aperture. I'm at F11. I'll go to, what do you think? That looks like 2/3 of a stop? Sound right? Okay. F9, whatever that number is. Okay, turn your... Craig knows what I'm talking about. There we go. Okay, and now if I would shoot for Nike, they would be very unhappy with me. Why? Because half the swoosh is cut off. Right there. Right there. Cool. Turn your face even a little more that way. Little angles right there. Beautiful. Okay, now take your hair off that shoulder. Take it all the way around. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Now look off that way. And then here's what we're going to do. We're going to straighten up this neck. And I'm a stylist, and my name is Ramon. It's nice. There we go. That's very nice. Right there. Great. Chin up just a little bit. Turn your face that way, just a hair. Okay, now when you look off, you have to see something. Even, yeah, just start thinking something, though, like start reading it or something. It'll come through in your eyes. There we go, right there. Good. There we go. That looks better. Right there. Relax your shoulders just a little bit. Right there. Tilt your head this way. Other way. Right there. Right there. Beautiful. Okay, bring your hands up above your head now. Do something like that. Right there, gorgeous. Good. And eyes back to me. Right there. Okay, that's one light.
Taking off the grid.
Taking off the grid?
Yes.
Do the same shot without the grid?
Yes, without the grid.
Okay.
Without the, on these, on the two side lights.
Oh,
Yes.
you want all the grids off of
Yes,
everything?
you did not show us the effect.
Ah, okay, let's do that. Okay, let's turn this on. Let's turn, so you want just the grids without this? Okay. Okay, so let's remeter, although Craig changed the lighting. Yeah. Oh, F8.3, F8.8. Yeah. Let's go. Can you click up the tenths, 4 clicks? Thank you. Yep. Okay. Right there. See, it changes it completely. Your light in the background, it's not as controlled. But this can work too. I mean, you can do really cool things with this. Like right now, I mean, I could see us doing, here, let's do this. Let's put let me get the beauty dish on here. And you step forward just a little bit. And I'm not going to use the umbrella because you're going to use that, so. Let's get this up here.
Since you're switching back to the beauty edition, I'll have a question for you after.
Yes. Here. Okay. Look at the mess I've made. It's pretty funny. After a photo shoot with me, it's just like I got crap everywhere. Right there. Hold on. Okay. Well, this is gonna be pretty, I can tell already. Because what I'm doing here is if you look at that shot, see the way it's all airy on the outside, but her face looks bad.
Yeah.
So now all I'm gonna do is fill in that space on her face, and it's gonna be this really pretty shot. That's why I say, just kind of work through just logically what you're gonna do. I did a shoot here recently for a sunglass company. And it was actually, I spent 2 days doing a lighting test on it with the creative director. And we'd get something cool and he'd go, well, how about if you try that now? And it was like the coolest thing. It was so stressful, but it was really cool. He pushed me to do stuff that I would have never done before. And what I ended up doing was like this completely messed up lighting that shouldn't have worked, but it did. And we had like a light coming directly overhead, a beauty dish. So it was just this horrible, god-awful lighting. And then I had a huge octo that I just would control the fill on to fill in those shadows. And it ended up looking really beautiful. And then we also had black, like 12-foot seamless across the whole thing because of the reflections everywhere. You never want to shoot for a sunglass company, ever. Oh my God, it was awful. You think you got every little reflection, then you're like, and there's the art director stood next to me. So anyway, did I meter that? I didn't meter that, did I?
So are the art directors really difficult to work with? Are they vary in terms of character?
Yeah, for the most part, they're all pretty cool. They want the same thing you do.
Right.
A good art director will allows you to kind of do what you want to do and then just kind of guides things.
Yeah.
Bad art directors go, I don't like it, but I don't know why. I've had a few of those. You're like, can you tell me, is it the light? Is it the model? Is it the clothes? Or like, I just don't like it. Passive aggressive is the worst. Okay, let's see what I got here. I'm at F11. Yeah, what do you think? Okay, now what if I wanted more spill? Okay, I have two options. I can power those up by a stop, or I could open up this to stop and take this down to stop. That makes sense? That confused me. Let's kick these up a stop.
3.7.
Yep. Let's just see how far we can push this and have it still look good. Okay, see, it's starting to look a little bad. So what I think we should do, instead of cross-lighting her so much, let's just move these back a little bit. Like this. Let's do this. I love playtime like this. Just try things. Okay. Okay, so now let's take this up. 10th. Get in there. Let's go there. There we go. That's looking better. Okay, so now let's try one more thing here. I'm gonna see what's behind there. Is that the store? Does anybody know?
Yeah. Yes, I think so.
So if I bounce light in there, is it gonna flash everybody out? We're okay? Sweet, let's do it. Let's blind some people. Let's take this out. You guys are gonna be blind too. Okay, come on. There we go. Do we have two reflectors? Yeah, we do. Okay. Actually, let's just try it like that. So remember that beauty shot I had where it had like everything bleeding around? That's literally all I do is just like blast the background with light and let it spill around. In fact, that shot was funny because the art director thought I was nuts. Because we had this, it was in London, and I had this huge cyclorama wall. And I just kept adding lights into this thing behind the model, and they were like, what is he doing? And I like turned the model around towards the wall, and I used that huge wall as my light source. But they thought I was nuts putting all these lights behind them. Because I waited in, and I just went, here, and I took the shot. They're like, oh my God, that's amazing. I'm like, yeah, I know. So, okay. So let's crank these up to high. Yeah, they're full power here.
You gonna keep it at F11?
I don't know. We're gonna see here in a second.
See what happens.
Yeah. Let's just do this.
If it doesn't explode, it's a good thing.
No, it'll be okay. I'm just worried about the people being blind in the other room.
You don't have any fans in those lights, right?
Yes, we do, yes, we do.
Oh yeah. I'm getting F32 off that background. 32.5 to be exact. That's a lot of light. Oh my God, that's awesome. What's this here? 16.2 here. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. It's probably going to be closer to F11, I bet. Because the reality is, no, if you think about it, okay, we were shooting at f11 before, this hasn't changed. So that's giving me a false reading because all the light coming around, and we want that. So I'm going to shoot at f11 and see what we get. That's probably too much light bouncing off because that's 11, 16, so that's 3 stops. So. Little too much. We're losing her white hair. Yeah, let's just go down 1 stop. That should do it. Yep. Now, if that was a Creo pack, that would have made a lot of noise.
Yeah.
The power packs tend to make more noise when they fire. Bam! There, right there. See, now we're getting there. Bring your arms up around there. See, that's looking kind of cool, isn't it? Okay, let's go here. Right there. Up again. Right there. Look off that way. Right there. That looks kind of cool, doesn't it? Try your hands on your hips. Let's see what it does with your hair. So we need a fan. A fan makes everything look better. Even makes me look better. Sure, let's try it. I'll be there for you, man.
Second best thing about reflectors.
What's the first best thing?
You get to lay on them when you're in the dirt.
Okay, ready? There we go. Good. Whoa!
It's all right. They got it.
Turn your face a little more that way. Yep. Yep, gotcha. Now shoot. Try it again. Got to time it right. There we go. That was perfect. Oh, yeah, look at that. That's way better. Okay, cool. Actually, there's a video out there of me explaining this lighting. It's called jelly bean lighting. And actually, do you guys, the album manufacturer that I know the owner of, and she was the one that came up with the name. She said, just make up some name and you'll own it. It's like every catalog on the planet has been shot like that. So I did these videos on how to do this lighting, and I have people email me all the time, oh my God, that jelly bean lighting is amazing. I'm like, oh my God. Totally made up name for lighting. So I have a signature lighting now, I'm jelly bean lighting. So, okay. I guess that's it, that's time, isn't it? Yeah? Nothing else? Okay, thank you.
Whether you're a hobbyist or a professional, B&H has the answers to your questions. Experience a world of technology at our New York City Superstore. Connect with us online or give us a call. Our staff of experts is happy to help.